Every single day, 2 billion people around the world do the same thing. They open their refrigerators, pull out last night's dinner, and reheat it without a second thought. And here's the truth that the food industry doesn't want you to know. That habit, the one you probably consider completely harmless, is silently altering the chemistry of your food at a molecular level. Right now, inside your fridge, there's a ticking time bomb. It doesn't have a fuse, it doesn't beep, but it is sitting there, waiting for you to press the start button on your microwave. That food, the one you were planning to eat for lunch, is undergoing a chemical transformation that you cannot see. And when you reheat it, you aren't just warming it up. You are creating compounds that damage your DNA. Cancer researchers have known about this for years. The World Health Organization has warned about it. But almost nobody is talking about it. Today, I'm going to show you 4 foods that are probably sitting in your fridge right now. Foods that almost everyone reheats. And I'm going to explain the exact chemical reactions that turn them from healthy meals into potential health risks. I know this sounds extreme. I know that because I had the same reaction when I first started looking into this. But what I found in the research is genuinely alarming, and I need you to stay with me until the end, because the number 1 food on this list is something that health experts recommend you eat every single day. Before we dive in, let me be clear about why you should trust what I'm about to say. My name is Dr. William Lee. I've spent the better part of 2 decades studying nutritional biochemistry and preventive oncology. My research focuses on how cooking methods, heat exposure, and food storage affect human health at the cellular level. I don't sell supplements. I'm not pushing a cleanse or a course. My job is to read the peer-reviewed science, the stuff that gets published in journals like The Lancet Oncology and Carcinogenesis, and translate it into information you can actually use. The information I'm about to share comes from hundreds of independent studies conducted by researchers from all over the world, published over the past 15 years. This is not opinion. It is science. And it's science that has the power to change how you think about leftovers forever. There are roughly 18 million new cancer cases diagnosed globally every single year. That is a staggering number. And for decades, we have been taught that the biggest risk factors are things like smoking, pollution, or genetics. While those are certainly important, the data shows something else. The journal CA, the premier cancer journal for clinicians, published a landmark study revealing that poor dietary habits are now the second leading modifiable risk factor for cancer worldwide. It ranks just behind tobacco use. Think about that. What you put in your mouth, how it was prepared, how it was stored, and how it was reheated is one of the single biggest controllable factors in whether or not you develop certain cancers. And yet, the conversation around diet and cancer almost never touches on the kitchen habits we practice every single day. We get messages about eating clean and eating organic, but nobody is talking about the act of heating itself. Why? Because the reactions that happen when you heat food twice are silent, invisible, and odorless. You can't see the DNA-damaging compounds forming. You can't smell the molecular breakdown. The danger is entirely undetectable to your senses. To understand what is happening inside your microwave right now, we need to take a quick trip into the world of food chemistry. This is not a biology lesson. This is the key that understanding everything that follows. When you cook food for the first time, heat triggers predictable changes. Proteins unravel, starches soften, and fats melt. This is called the initial cooking process, and your digestive system is generally good at handling it. But a few hours or days later, after the food has been sitting in your refrigerator, something has changed. The fats have begun to oxidize. The proteins have started to degrade. The moisture has evaporated in some places and become concentrated in others. When you reheat that food, you're exposing these already damaged molecules to a new round of intense energy. It's like taking a piece of paper, burning the edges, and then throwing it back into the fire. The result is not just more burning, it's a different kind of destruction. The heat causes these fragile molecules to break down further into what are known as reactive carbonyls, lipid peroxides, and advanced glycation end products. These are not just complicated terms. They are toxic compounds. The World Health Organization has classified several of these compounds as Group 1 or Group 2A carcinogens. Group 1 means there is conclusive evidence that they cause cancer in humans. Group 2A means they probably do. That is not scaremongering. That is the official position of the leading health organization on the planet. This problem is compounded by the fact that most of us are not reheating just one food. We're reheating complete meals. A piece of chicken, a side of spinach, and a scoop of rice, all in the same microwave-safe container. The chemical reactions don't happen in a vacuum. They interact with each other. The fats from the chicken, the nitrates from the spinach, and the sugars from the rice all contribute to a complex chemical soup of carcinogenic potential. Let's start with the #1 most reheated food on Earth: cooked rice. Rice is a staple food for more than 3.5 billion people. It is the base of countless meals across cultures, and it is reheated constantly. The problem with rice is twofold. First, there is the issue of the bacteria Bacillus cereus. This is a common pathogen found in soil and raw rice. It survives the initial boiling process, and as the rice cools, it begins to multiply rapidly. When you reheat the rice, the heat may kill the active bacteria, but it does not destroy the heat-stable toxins they produce. Those toxins survive the microwave, survive the frying pan, and survive your stomach acid. They enter your intestines intact and can cause something called mitochondrial dysfunction. Mitochondria are the powerhouses of your cells. When they are damaged, your cells produce less energy and become more vulnerable to the signals that trigger cancer. But here's the second and even more concerning problem. The sugars in rice react with an amino acid called asparagine during reheating. This reaction produces a compound known as acrylamide. Acrylamide is not a minor contaminant. It is classified by the International Agency for Research on Cancer as a Group 2A carcinogen, meaning it is probably carcinogenic to humans. It is the same chemical formed in French fries and potato chips when they are fried at high temperatures, and you are creating it in your kitchen every time you reheat leftover rice. If you must reheat rice, cook it fresh if possible. If you have to store it, cool it quickly in a shallow tray and refrigerate it within an hour. Consume it within 24 hours and absolutely never reheat it more than once. The second food is a go-to for anyone who is health conscious: chicken. In fact, chicken is the most popular lean protein in the world. It's recommended by doctors, bodybuilders, and nutritionists. And it's also one of the worst foods to reheat from a chemical standpoint. When you reheat chicken, especially at high temperatures in a microwave, the proteins undergo oxidation. This is not like the rusting of a nail. It is a breakdown of the amino acid chains. During this breakdown, compounds called heterocyclic amines are formed. These are known among researchers as HCAs. HCAs are extremely well studied. They are among the most potent dietary carcinogens in scientific literature. When you consume them, your liver tries to metabolize them into a water-soluble form that can be excreted. But in the process, the liver creates an intermediate compound that is highly reactive with DNA. It creates what are known as DNA adducts, which are essentially genetic mutations. If these mutations occur in the wrong gene, the oncogenes or the tumor suppressor genes, cancer can begin. A study published in the journal Carcinogenesis found that people who frequently consumed well-done or reheated poultry had a significant increase in colorectal cancer risk. Separate research from the Harvard School of Public Health linked frequent consumption of reheated chicken to an increased risk of pancreatic cancer, one of the deadliest forms of the disease, with a 5-year survival rate of only 11%.
The science here is conclusive.
Reheating chicken is not the same as reheating a vegetable. The protein structure makes it uniquely vulnerable to this kind of oxidative damage. Now we come to the third food. I warned you that this one would surprise you, and for many people, it is the most difficult to hear. We're talking about spinach and other nitrate-rich leafy greens like Swiss chard, beets, and celery. Spinach is celebrated as a superfood. It is packed with iron, folate, magnesium, and powerful antioxidants. Nutritionists consistently encourage people to eat more of it, and they are right. When spinach is fresh or cooked once and eaten immediately, it is incredibly beneficial. But here's where the problem lies. Spinach is naturally high in nitrates. In their natural state, these nitrates are actually good for you. They help support cardiovascular health and can even improve blood pressure regulation. But once the spinach is cooked and stored in the refrigerator, naturally occurring bacteria on the surface of the leaves begin converting those nitrates into nitrites. The longer it sits, the more nitrites are produced. Then, when you reheat that spinach, the heat combines the nitrites with amino acids to form nitrosamines. Nitrosamines are not just any carcinogen. They are among the most potent dietary carcinogens ever identified. In laboratory studies, they have been shown to induce cancer at remarkably low doses. This is the exact same chemical process that led the World Health Organization to classify processed meats like bacon and deli meats as a Group 1 carcinogen in 2015. The European Food Safety Authority has issued formal guidance specifically warning about the risks of reheating nitrate-rich vegetables. The irony is devastating. A food that is considered one of the healthiest on the planet can become a source of cancer-promoting compounds simply because of how we store and reheat it. So what do? Cook spinach fresh whenever possible. Eat it immediately after cooking. If you have leftovers, consume them cold within a few hours. Do not refrigerate cooked spinach with the intention of reheating it later. If you absolutely must store it, keep it in an airtight container, consume it within 6 hours, and eat it cold. And that brings us to the fourth food, the one I know you've been waiting for, the one that almost nobody knows about, the food that even the healthiest eaters consume on a regular basis. I'm talking about eggs. Eggs are considered one of the most nutritionally complete foods available. They contain all 9 essential amino acids. They are rich in choline for brain health, selenium for immunity, and antioxidants that protect your eyes.
By almost every nutritional standard, eggs are a perfect food, except when you reheat them.
When you cook an egg for the first time, the fats in the yolk begin a process known as oxidation. That's normal. But when you refrigerate that cooked egg and then reheat it at a high temperature, those already oxidized fats undergo a second round of oxidation at a much faster rate. This produces byproducts known as oxysterols. Oxysterols are oxidized forms of cholesterol, and they are toxic to human cells. A comprehensive review published in the journal Food and Chemical Toxicology concluded that oxysterols possess pro-atherogenic, pro-inflammatory, and most importantly, cytotoxic and genotoxic effects on human cells. Genotoxic means they damage DNA. The thermal degradation of proteins in eggs, especially when microwaved, creates abnormal crosslinks that are hard for your digestive system to break down. But the real danger is in the sulfur-containing amino acids. Cysteine and methionine, which are naturally present in eggs, degrade during repeated heating into reactive sulfur compounds. These compounds contribute to oxidative stress in the intestinal lining. Persistent oxidative stress in the gastrointestinal mucosa is considered a major proposed mechanism in the development of colorectal cancer, the third most common cancer worldwide. The solution is simple. Eat eggs immediately after cooking. If you prepare hard-boiled eggs in advance, store them with the shell on and eat them cold. Never reheat scrambled eggs or omelets in the microwave. If you absolutely need to warm an egg-based dish, use gentle indirect heat, like a warm water bath or a very low-temperature oven. Now, I want to be honest with you. When I first started reading the research on reheated food, I wasn't scared. I was frustrated. Because this information is not hidden. It has been published in peer-reviewed journals for decades. It appears in official guidance from the World Health Organization and the European Food Safety Authority. Yet somehow, it almost never reaches the public in a clear, practical way. People make decisions about reheating food every day, not because they are careless, but because nobody ever told them. This is the gap I am trying to close. This is why I make these videos, not to frighten you, but to empower you with the science. You now know the risks. You know the mechanisms. You know the foods. You know the simple, practical steps you can take to protect yourself and your family. Cook rice fresh. Reheat chicken at the lowest possible temperature. Never reheat spinach. And never microwave eggs. It's that simple. But more importantly, share this information. Think of someone in your life who reheats leftovers without a second thought. A college student living on meal-prepped chicken and rice. A parent warming up spinach for dinner. A spouse microwaving scrambled eggs every morning. They don't know what you know now. And you can change that in 10 seconds just by sending them this video. The research is real, the evidence is strong, and the solutions are simple. Thank you for watching.